What's up, everyone? Welcome to 1 Year Later, a podcast show amplifying the voices of people taking adversity into their own hands and changing their world and the world around them. And today we have a really special guest. We have Madison Kocian. Madison, what's happening?
Hey, what's up?
Well, you know what? I thought if I was going to start a podcast show slash interview show slash whatever the world wants this to be, where we get to sit in our bedrooms and just like have a conversation, like we're across the table at coffee, you would be the perfect person to talk to first. So, are you
Oh,
honored?
yes, I'm the first
Okay,
one.
you are. You are the first one. Okay, so this show is not about your accolades, but I'm going to tell everyone anyways, because this is more about like a deep dive into Madison Kocian's head and heart and what the last year has been like. But for those of you who are living under a rock, Madison Kocian is an Olympic gold and silver medalist from the Rio 2016 Games. She did the sport of gymnastics, which is fantastic and fascinating all at once. She's a 2018 NCAA champion with UCLA Gymnastics. She also graduated from UCLA. Great job. You graduated. You did it. She's a world champion. She's a childhood cancer advocate, and she's pursuing a career as a physician's assistant. She does not have like she's not doing anything. She's really like not a busy person at all. She's just trying to like get by. But all those things make her up to be exactly who she is. And now we're here together. And today we're gonna find out what the last year of your life has been like. Do you have like 2 words that describe your last years to give everyone a little teaser?
Um, the last year, I would say roller coaster and new beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Okay, let's get started. First question that I have for you. Where were you 1 year ago? Mentally, physically, what were you doing with your life? Give us like a little bit of a description of what, when you think of 1 year ago, what does that mean to you?
Whoa, 1 year ago, I probably, let's see, we're at the end of March. I was like just going home back to Dallas. We somehow got out of our lease for our apartment in LA once everything kind of shut down. So we felt like it would be best for us to just kind of split up. I had 3 other roommates to split up and just be home with our families during that time, and just have like more space because our apartment wasn't like huge, obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was just getting home. The first week that everything kind of shut down, we still had to take finals for our winter quarter at UCLA. And then, so it was like right after finals, we all split up. I went home, and then I had a week of like spring break, and then started my last quarter at UCLA. So I did that from Dallas.
Wow. Wow. So school went online, but also it was the end of your gymnastics career. Like you never got a senior night, you never got a national championship to round out your career. Like unwillingly, I would say, like you probably wanted that all of those things to happen. You just woke up one day and it was the news that came about, as many other people felt. You were never going to ever compete another day of gymnastics in your life. And on top of that, now you're telling everyone like there was finals and moving and all of these other pieces. So like a year ago was truly that roller coaster that you're describing.
Yeah, that was definitely like probably one of the craziest weeks I've lived through. It was like we were at the Ellen show supporting Nia.
That's right.
And so we were like obviously having a really good time, like one of the best days. And we were doing well as a team going into postseason. I believe we were ranked third, but at that time I felt like the team was like slowly climbing up. So felt like our peak was going to come postseason. And then all of a sudden we're driving home from Ellen, and I think it was first that finals got put online, and then we saw something, or maybe it was first that like only like 100 people were going to be able to attend events on campus, and we're like, oh shoot, that's our senior meet,
Yeah.
like our last home meet. We were like kind of shocked. We're like 100 people, that's probably like maybe like we had such a huge senior class, we're like that's like maybe the seniors like families, like not even the
Right.
whole team's family. So
And at
that was
that point, like, were your parents already flying to LA to come and be at senior night when you found this
yeah,
news out?
it was like a few days later, I feel like that they were supposed
Okay.
to come out. But like Kyla's family, like her extended family was coming from Hawaii. So I honestly think they were coming like the next day. Like they were coming early. Um, yeah, a lot of families, like all obviously our senior class was so big, so they were all planning to be there. And then yeah, all of a sudden we're like, oh, finals are online, and then they're like talking about our opponent for that weekend like wasn't gonna come, and then so we were trying to figure out like, do we do a senior meet with just like our team, so it's like almost like an inter squad type thing, and then like all of a sudden like Pac-12 canceled everything, and then obviously the rest of NCAA canceled everything, and then yeah, and then we started
Crazy.
to finals.
Crazy, crazy. So, okay, so obviously there's so much adversity packed into that part of the story, but um like from an emotional perspective, I remember calling you the day that I found out that everything was getting canceled, and that phone call was like, I'm watching everything unfold, and I'm just wanting you to know that, like, I'm proud of the career that you've had, right? Because at that point we all were trying to reconcile, like, what does this really mean, and is it reality that, like, you'll never do a Kip Cast handstand ever again? Like, is that really what we're coming to grips with? So I remember calling you, and I was in Arkansas at the time,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, I'm watching the seniors at Arkansas process that they won't get it, but, like, I have this massive senior class that I am dear friends with all of you, that, like, my heart is breaking for you. And I have, like, friends in other sports that, like, their seasons were getting canceled, and their seniors that were never gonna do their sport again. And so from an emotional standpoint, like, what did that look like for you to walk through that next season to really, like, either try to reconcile? Have you reconciled with yourself the fact that, like, that's a reality? Like, what has that processing been like the last year, kind of walking through end of your sport after such an illustrious and just a career full of accolades that you deserve to be proud of, but now don't have?
Yeah, it's been like quite honestly, like some days are more challenging than others, but I think at the beginning I was like just trying to convince myself like, oh, this is like meant to be, all this stuff, when like in reality, like I don't think I was mentally and like emotionally ready as like so
Yeah.
many other people weren't. And I was just like trying to tell myself like, you know what, my body, like my shoulder was done, like my body was already like barely hanging on, like this was probably what was best. And like everything happens for a reason. But then I think like once I finished like classes and then not getting graduation, which was another like emotional toll, and then just kind of going through this past year and now watching like all of like the girls and like teams like compete this season. um I think it was definitely harder this season, like knowing like, oh, we didn't get a year back, and like wishing I would be out there. But at the end of the day, I think I'm like finally like coming to terms with everything, and just like giving myself like that space and everything. But yeah, I mean, I do still believe like everything happens for a reason, and it was probably like time for me to like move on and start what I want to do next. But it definitely wasn't easy, and I know there was like a lot of people that have been there for me, like definitely through the hard days. So I think everyone processes everything like at their own pace and in their own ways. So thankfully, I was able to come out here back to LA and like live with Kyla, and just kind of like go through the days with her, because obviously like she experienced the same thing. So yeah, very thankful that we had each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like one of the fun days this summer, amidst, like, the pandemic and masking up and all of the things that were needing to happen, it was like back in August, like, I got a phone call from Kyla, and she's like, Cory, we're going paddleboarding. Like, me and you, Koshi, like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, great. So drove 20 minutes down the road, and we decided, Kyla, I'm going to blame it on Kyla. I am. I'm going to blame it all on Kyla. Tyler Ross decided to invite us to go paddleboarding in Dana Point Harbor on probably the windiest day you could ever paddleboard. I,
Oh my gosh.
I would venture to say that the three of us were not in any sort of shape to be able to paddle upwind, and they had told us it was about a mile to the destination we were trying to get to, and we just couldn't do it. We literally had to
They
turn back.
they really were like, "Oh, yeah, it's super windy out there," like, they had no faith in us, and then we're like, "Ah, no, we'll be fine, we'll be fine."
Right. Yeah,
We'll definitely be
yeah,
fine.
I remember that. They were like, I'm not sure if you're gonna do this. And we all looked at each other and we're like, we're athletes. Like, we got
Yeah,
this.
like,
Like,
we got this.
come on. Like, what do you mean we can't do it,
We're
you
like,
know?
"Okay, let's keep going," and then all of a sudden, like, if you stop paddling, you're going backwards. Oh.
I remember probably like 15 minutes went by and I was looking at the same palm tree off to my right the whole time. Like
Oh,
it
yeah,
was that it was just in line the whole time.
yeah, that was oh, man, that was fun, though, like,
It,
I wanna go
it
paddleboarding this summer again.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. But that was one of those cool moments, like going back to what we were talking about, right? Like it was kind of a turning point for all of us because everyone was giving everyone space to process the last year the way that they needed to process it. And, I remember at one point in time, I asked you if you would do something for something that I was working on, and you were like, "Hey, I just don't think it's the right timing." And out of 100% respect, like I was never gonna like ask you and push you to do that thing, but like it was a good mental note for me to take a step back and be like, yeah, yeah, she needs some time to like process through what this next season of who Madison Kocian is and what her voice is going to sound like amidst this heartache and this roller coaster of emotion of what you're going through. So for
Mhm.
me, that paddleboarding day, it did end with a nice sushi night brought to you by the one and only Jason Ross. Although we did give our old 1-2 at trying to make
We
ourselves
did
some
pretty
sushi.
good,
We
yeah.
did. Kyla was stacking, like, so much rice. It was the roll ended up like this. I'm like, "We're having burritos at this point."
It didn't work, it didn't work.
It didn't work. But it was just cool because I remember that was kind of like a line in the sand, especially with, like, our friendship where I was like, "Okay, I can see Maddie, like, processing in a great way to help get her to the next step." Um, so that kind of brings me to my next question, and this isn't about like sulking in the last year, although that could be the truth of whatever this conversation could be about. We don't have to end in a positive note because a year goes by and sometimes people's years like go downhill. But I'm curious to know, like, what are two turning points of the last year that either were moments in time where you like took a step back and you're like, hey, no, there's hope for like the future, that I'm excited about what's to come, although I've gone through these roller coaster of emotions. Like, what are two turning points that come to mind that kind of gave you that hope and made you excited for what's to come?
I would have to say, hmm, one moment would definitely be moving in with Kyla. I think, um, we first, like, weren't really sure, like, she wasn't sure if she was gonna just, like, live at home or, like, what was gonna be best because we had no idea the timeline of what this pandemic in the last year was gonna look like.
Yeah,
Um, but I think, like, for both of us, I think it worked out really well because at the end of the day, I think we both really just needed each other, and, we've obviously we haven't adventured that much because LA's been closed for a while, but even just the nights where we just like watch Netflix and like watch shows or just cook dinner together, just like the smallest things. But I think we both really needed that this past year. So I think just being there for each other, that was one of like probably a turning moment for me. It was just like, look, like obviously it's been hard this past year, but at the same time, there's so many other people that are still probably processing things. And then also so many people that out there that have it way worse than we do. So I
yeah,
think just like putting things in perspective really helped me. And then I would say like another turning point. Um, I think just getting like more time to hang out with like friends and family. just like throughout the year. Obviously, I was home for a bit. Got to go to my beach house with my family for a bit, which was really nice just to kind of change of scenery and hang out with them. Because quite honestly, like I would only see them like once or twice a year at holidays for like the past like 5 years. So that was really nice, just spending extra time with them. And then just spending extra time with like my friends, like this past year out here in LA, has been really nice. I have a good circle of people that I like to surround myself with. So, yeah, I think
I
just
love
like
that.
those 2 moments.
I remember when you told me you were coming back to LA, and it just felt right, because I'm not saying that like Dallas did not feel right. I think that Dallas is a huge piece of your heart, and like it will always be, and your family is incredible. But when I thought about like you sifting through this next phase and what you had just gone through, like there's so many people that I can like rattle off that are your support system as well out here in LA. And to know that like amidst lockdowns and isolation and COVID protocols, and not to mention like you having to be extra careful because Kyla's your roommate and Kyla is working with the UCLA team to make, and we have to make sure that everything is followed protocol wise in order to make sure that no one puts the team at risk so that they don't compete. Like it's one of those things that like despite all of those things going against you, like that community was really important to you this last year, and I recognize that for sure. Now on that note, like I have to ask, the fact that Kyla is a part of the team that you were once on, like has that been a little bit difficult to process, that just the idea that like she's going into the gym that you had been in for 4 years, and you're not going into that gym anymore? Like was that kind of, salt in the wound isn't the right word here, but I remember with my first season away from collegiate sports, and like I was lost. I like wanted to go back in the gym so bad. So like has that been like kind of bittersweet a little bit, getting to see what she's experiencing, but also like you getting to contribute a little bit as like her confidant and roommate and support system too?
Yeah, I think it's been like sometimes have been like challenging more than others, but I think at the beginning it was like a little bit hard just because like with all the restrictions, like we used to have like visitors for like inter squads and or just like popping in for practice, and so I couldn't do any of that because obviously like they had to keep the circle small and keep the athletes safe, and healthy. And so yeah, it was even just like the little things is like not only was like gym taken away from us like so quickly, is just like we couldn't even go into the gym this year and like still kind of be a part of the team like in person. But at the same time, like I still do feel really connected with especially the senior class this year. I feel like they were like we almost took them under our wing, when they were freshmen, just because we were sophomores at the time. And so I do still stay connected with them and text them before meets, and if they need anything, they know that I'm always here. And the same for Kyla. Like if she wants to talk about tough days at practice or emotionally draining ones, like obviously I'm always here for her. And yeah, it's been really cool to see her in a new role. The senior meet was obviously pretty tough for me just to watch, but I know a lot of the other seniors from last year was tough for them to watch too, just because we didn't get that one. But at the same time, we wanted to make it as special as we could because like their families couldn't be there at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, something that not a lot of people would know if they weren't in the gym with you while you were training, but like 75% of the time that you were in the gym, you were there helping other teammates like be the best version of themselves. The other 25% was the only amount of time that you would allow yourself to spend on you, and actually you getting better at gymnastics and you spending time doing what you needed to do. Which, to see the success that you had in college athletics, like it's cool to kind of see that dichotomy existed while you were still getting to show your compassion. And I can say firsthand, not a lot of people know this, but like Madison Kocian, you made that balloon arch. Yes, you did. Yeah, you made that balloon arch, and
Okay.
you gave your all to like do that, and that was an extension of you showing compassion for the seniors. You sent in words of encouragement to the University of Arkansas team because one of your roommates, Felicia Hano, is over there, and you are just pouring out that same compassion and energy and belief to other teams across the NCAA. I saw those goodie bags that you like asked someone to go and deliver one day. You were able to figure out how to process in your own way by giving back in the exact same way that you did while you were still in school. And so I think that's like really respectable to see how you were processing that roller coaster by still being able to find ways that you were able to still be a part of the program and still be a part of making an impact on teams across the United States. It's really respectable, and like not a lot of people like know those pieces of the puzzle because they're definitely in the shadows, and that's how you like it. But like people, you need to know that she's like
Yeah.
elite friend over here.
Oh. Yeah, I think like in the gym, obviously because my body, I was like so restricted on training. And I was only allowed to train, like especially the last year, I was only allowed to train about 1 or 2 days a week. That was just like what the medical staff had told me. So I just try to find other ways I could help out in the gym and find other ways to help make the team get a little bit better each day. And so if that was just helping someone with like their mentality of approaching like a beam or bar routine that day, then that's what I did. Or if it was just like moving someone's mats or literally just pumping someone up, then that's what my role was that day. And so I feel like it's always given me like a sense of like happiness giving back to people, whether that's in the gym or outside of the gym, whatever it is. And so I feel like that was probably one of the ways I chose to cope and just kind of process things this year was like, well, how can I still stay connected with these athletes and make their time memorable? Because obviously I would want them to have a memorable senior year or whatever year they're in. But yeah, I love being a part of the sports world. And if I can help in any way, like it's really cool for me to use my experiences and give back somehow.
Yeah, so cool. Not a lot of people know that you got surgery this year, 2021.
Yeah.
You got surgery. So is your body like fixed now? Like are we like heading into Madison Kocian's future with like a healthier version of you?
Yeah, I got surgery. So like the plan was obviously to get it right after I was done with gymnastics, but then all of the elective surgeries like just got stopped for a little bit. So I really pushed it off for a long time, and then I was like, well, my shoulder's still slipping out, so I probably should get this done sooner rather than later. And yeah, it was just bothering me a lot. So I got it fixed in January of this year, and yeah, I'm a couple months post-op.
Good.
But yeah, I just go to rehab, which is like weird rehabbing for like not trying to come back to gymnastics.
Right.
But at the same time,
to be a
like,
human.
yeah, just be human. But also at the same time, I feel like, I don't know, I could like, it felt like fine, honestly, a couple weeks later because like, I was like, oh, I don't have to do gymnastics. So like,
Right.
so yeah,
That's
it's going well. I mean, my whole body is not healed. I wouldn't say that because technically I need to get an ankle surgery too, but I'm not sure about that one. We'll see if I get that one.
No, I get that. Well, I mean, all of that, like the roller coaster makes sense, and I hate that that's kind of the way that the last year panned out. But I also love to hear like the hope in your voice and the desire that you have for the future. Like we didn't even really get to chat a lot about like what's next from a school perspective. Like you're in school right now to take some more elective courses in order to get ready to apply for PA school. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm finishing up classes right now, just like on the side, and did an internship in the fall to get more hours. But yeah, hopefully I can get into PA school and start like that career and stuff. So still stay connected somehow. I want to go into orthopedics, so still stay connected with like athletes and stuff like that.
Yeah, super cool. Super cool. Okay, so my last question today, a little reflection here, is did your 1 year ago self believe that you could be here 1 year later? the emotions that you were facing 1 year ago, were you in a space where you could ever believe that you could be sitting here saying all of the hopeful things that I've heard come out of your mouth today?
Definitely not. 1 year ago, I think I was all over the place. Like, I just like 1 year ago, I picture us being like back in our apartment, like with Kyla, Felicia, Mercedes, and I, and yeah, it was wild. Like we could not even take our finals because we could not focus. Like it was pretty bad. So I would not picture myself here because one, I didn't know like if I would stay in Dallas or like where I would be, and then two, just like still taking classes and like pursuing my next career. So like, yeah, things have fallen into line. Obviously, like I had to work hard at like what I wanted to do and stuff, but yeah, definitely wouldn't have like a year ago. Like I thought like the world was ending, which is
Totally.
so sad to say because it's like yeah, of course, like gymnastics like was my whole life, but like so many other people literally had it way worse. So like the world was definitely not ending. I was pretty dramatic, but it was also hard at the same time. So I do have to cut myself some slack. But yeah.
Totally, totally. Well, this was super fun, and you're the first guest, and I didn't say this to you before, but one of like the thoughts of this is like maybe a year from today we can look back and be like, what's 1 year ago from today look like? And will you be in PA school? Like, what is this gonna look like? Where will you be living? What cool turning points will happen this year to come? But and kind of revisit that, but until then, Maddie, big fan of yours, and keep being a compassionate heart and an encouraging friend. You support so many people with all of your heart, and it's just so cool to watch you do that now, knowing especially where you've come from in the last year and the work that you've done personally to get through all of that. So stay the course, and we're all stoked to be your friend, and I know there's so many people who look up to you, whether you are doing crazy bar routines at the Olympic Games or you are, someone who is chasing after a career as a physician's assistant. So stay the course and keep it going.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, guys. Well, tune in tomorrow. We got one more episode. Not one more episode. We got another episode. It's not like we're only doing two. We're going to do a bunch of these. So we got another episode that will be super fun. And I hope you guys are getting some encouragement and a couple of those, Me Too moments, hearing that people just like you are experiencing things at crazy, different, wild, crazy. I keep saying crazy because I feel like we've all experienced crazy in the last year kind of ways. And just like Madison, I feel like a little bit of hope can come from a little bit of our story. So, Maddie, thanks for being on. I'm probably going to call you a year from now so that we can have another conversation.
Yay, I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Okay, we'll see you guys later.